Have there been any outages? What's going on with cybersecurity in the supply chain world?
Yeah. So let me start with a couple of things, hacks that had happened recently to kind of set the context of what is possible, right? Unfortunately, what is possible with supply chains. So let's start with February of last year. So in February of 2022, you can look this up, Kojima Industries. So Kojima Industries is a Toyota supplier in Japan. They were hit by a cyber attack. It was ransomware, and they were shut down. And because of the way Toyota suppliers connect to it, right? Toyota has this very famous Kanban system of manufacturing. So their suppliers are all directly connected to Toyota. The supplier goes down, it's not able to provide the the components that Toyota procures from them. So 14 different Toyota plants across Japan shut down for an entire day. That impacted the production of 13,000 automobiles. Think about that, right? If you even assume like $1,000 per car as a Toyota's profit, we're immediately looking at a $13 million hit right there one day. More recently, just in August, Clorox, they got hit by a cybersecurity breach as well, right? And now they are reporting that they expect a 23 to 28% decrease in net sales at the end of Q3.
Wow.
A 1/4%, right? A 1/4% decrease in net sales. So this is the kind of impact that supply chain disruptions because of cybersecurity can cause to your manufacturing and hence to your to your revenue and customer set.
That's huge. And I would imagine that a company like Toyota or Clorox, it might put the relationship in a rocky place after that happened, because they suffered financial consequences from that supplier. And now they may say, hey, we might need to look at some alternatives, or maybe we want you guys to offset the cost of our loss in some way on our next negotiation. I would just imagine those type of conversations are happening.
For sure, right? When supply chain organizations are assessing suppliers, right, whether it's to do business with them for the first time or whether they are renewing contracts, a whole host of parameters go into assessing that supplier's performance. Quality, pricing, those are the more traditional metrics, but certainly things like on-time delivery, also a traditional metric. Supplier reliability, increasingly, suppliers' ability to continue, delivery of the committed material under stress, right? Disruptions and so on. All of those are factors that are assessed, are used to assess a supplier performance and hence award them business. So companies that are not paying attention, or companies that are paying attention but have a cybersecurity breach for whatever reason, they do tend to lose business.
Yeah, I see that. We recently had a customer that reached out to us because they were getting, it wasn't Toyota, but it was another very large competitor of Toyota. And they were just the attorney. They were just the law firm representing that automobile manufacturer. And that automobile manufacturer had such stringent requirements for them to even represent their case because they had sensitive data. And that kind of set the law firm into motion, making sure they had everything in place to even be allowed to do business. And I would imagine that's only going to keep getting more and more stringent in the supply chain world. They're not even part of the supply chain, but in a sense, they are a trusted vendor that's, working with large manufacturing. I could only imagine what they're going to start having to do with the organizations that are actually supplying them components that they need.
Yeah, and this is such a fantastic example of what the consequence of a breach could be. Yes, you could have your manufacturing shut down, but like in the case of the law firm, you could also have IP leakage. You could have intellectual property that either you as a manufacturing organization own or one of your customers has entrusted you with it. So whether it's a manufacturing or a direct supplier, or whether it's an indirect supplier like a services provider like a law firm, your supply chain could also end up causing an intellectual property issue for